Welcome to Legend of the Galactic Heroes, a casual look at episodes 25 through 45. Nothing special, just gonna have some improvised fun time just talking about what's going on, what's been happening. Still a 10-10. This will be a 10-10 throughout, I already know. And in the last video, I happened to stop right before a very important episode. And if you haven't watched this series, definitely watch it because I'm about to talk about a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't watched this, don't and you care about spoilers, then you're gonna have to take a step back. Anyhow, I left off right when Kircheis dies, and I was so confused by this because I thought Kircheis is a character that was gonna stay there for the long run, and I was getting really attached to the whole childhood bond between Reinhardt and Kircheis, and I remember the episode before he dies, they get into an argument, and the argument is that Reinhardt wanted to show the how evil and how wicked and how corrupt the nobles are by allowing them to slaughter 2 million people and use that as an example. And when Kircheis finds out about this, he's outraged because he confronts Reinhardt and says, "Why would you use these people as sacrifices this way?" And Reinhardt himself didn't want to do that. And in fact, he had planned to do something different. The reason why he did that is because of Oberstein. Oberstein was the one that had that plan in mind, and he convinced Reinhardt to do it. Because if Reinhardt does not stop the nobles now by using this slaughter as an example to show the world how they are, there will be more civil war and even more people will die. So realistically, yes, it was not the right thing to do, but the best way to stop the nobles. So it was a harsh sacrifice. But Kircheis doesn't know this, and Reinhardt fails to explain this to Kircheis properly, and they end up getting into an argument. Another thing that happens is that Oberstein notices how Reinhardt gives Kircheis special treatment and tells him to not do that. That makes you look bad. And yeah, it's kind of goofy how when they have meetings, as soon as Kircheis walks in, Reinhardt turns like a little boy, gets all excited. Anyhow, they get into the fight, and then there's an assassination attempt after one of the nobles was killed at the ceremony, and this guy tries to fire a rocket at Reinhardt, and Kircheis manages to push the rocket launcher out of the way enough where he misses. But this assassin has a ring with a powerful laser on it, and shoots Kircheis through the heart, and then shoots him again, and basically tears his throat out. And Kircheis is just bleeding everywhere on the floor, just about to die. And this guy gets apprehended, but he chews on some poison he had in his mouth, so it was a suicide mission. And so this whole time I'm wondering what's Reinhardt thinking because they actually wait a long time to show his reaction, and when they finally do, he's just in complete denial that Kircheis is about to die, and Kircheis tells him like I can no longer serve you, and Reinhardt just thinking about the promise, how they're supposed to take space together, and he's just in complete denial that Kircheis is not going to die, and he dies, and it breaks him. He ends up having these moments of silences where he cannot get over the death, and so he keeps an amulet that has a picture of Kircheis in it in some of his hair, and even to episode 45, they'll occasionally show him rubbing the amulet or looking at it or reminding himself of what the mission was with Kircheis. It was tragic. It's tragic that they killed him so early on, and I was so shocked. I did not think that they would do something like that, but he's gone. And even I was thinking to myself as Reinhardt was crying, like, this can't be happening. And that's it. And then season 2 begins, and the opening changes because they had to take it out because Kircheis is dead, and they don't want to keep the same opening now. And season 2 starts, and here's where we start to see more character development for Julian. Julian is Yang Wenli's caretaker, you could say, and he wants to be a soldier like his dead father's soldier. And Yang Wenli is against it, but he supports him to make his own decisions. And he gets his first chance to go out and battle. And Julian is like screaming and panicking. He's killing stuff. He's destroying ships, but he's losing his mind because he's so scared. regardless, on his first launch, he manages to take out some ships, and it gains him a lot of respect, and he ends up becoming a very good soldier. I mean, he has Yang Wenli, the best teacher you could have, and you can see how this is rubbing off on Julian. He's now able to strategize, predict things, figure out the enemy. He's become good at combat, hand-to-hand combat, and right now they're using him. They were using him in Fezon to gather intel, and I really like Julian's character. It's truly progressing a lot. I'm just curious as to what's gonna happen to him with the Empire, because in the opening, no, in the first ending, you see Reinhardt looking over Julian, and that has to mean something. But I have no idea what's gonna happen with Julian. But great character development there. Yang himself is getting caught up with the corruption in his own country, and the scheming that Reinhardt is doing to try to stop him. There's a fight where the Empire manages to warp this planetary fortress to the Free Planet Alliance, and they decided to find a way to get rid of Yang Wenli so he wouldn't be there to help them fight, and he had to go to an inquiry. And this is probably one of the best parts I've seen of the series so far, where in the inquiry, Yang Wenli is being questioned by all these old political people, and his responses are so intelligent and so well said about just the reality of corruption, how the people that are talking to him are essentially parasites, and all the old men are getting mad with him because they can't debate this man. He's too intelligent. And there's one of the old men though is smiling at Yang, and he knows that Yang is right, and he's just amused that Yang is telling all these old people off about how they're, points out all the contradictions and just embarrasses them. That was amusing to see. And eventually it turns out that there's a war going on, and they have to let him go. But they get questioned as to why they happen to detain him when there just happens to be a fight going on. And it was sort of torturous for Yang, because they had him locked up in a house, in a building, and he couldn't do anything. He was just bored and angry, and he wanted to quit too. That was the funny thing. He wanted to quit, and he's been wanting to quit multiple times, and he was gonna say it, but by chance he didn't get a chance to say it, and has stayed. Yeah, because Yang doesn't want to be a soldier. He wants to be a historian, and that's what gives him his edge. He has studied politics and history so well. That's what makes him so special. And like I was saying earlier in the discussion, he is the perfect soldier, and he has the right moral mindset to be a soldier. But there's also why he can't make it, because he has to fight the corruption within his own nation. So he's fighting the Empire, and he's fighting himself, and he's too pure to be in the military. Somebody like him is rare and doesn't live very long. And then they end up having the fight, and the planetary fortress gets blown up, and Empire loses. And then we get introduced to Rupert, and this has to do with Rubinsky. They're from Fezon. So the Mezon is this third, you could say, kind of civilization that has its own agenda, pulling the strings in the background. Fezon's goal is to manipulate the Galactic Empire and the Free Planet Alliance, and kind of help them kill each other off until they can find a way to completely eliminate one of them and then control the other one. And they're very small. Their population is only 2 billion compared to 30 billion of the Galactic Empire, or 25 billion. And I think the Free Planet Alliance is at 13 million. And Mezon is only at 2 billion. So they're a very small planet. And that's basically what they're doing. And Rubinsky has a son named Rupert. And the son has he has an agenda as well. He wants to surpass his he wants to take over the power of his son, and it turns out that his father Rubinsky was going to give him the power that he wanted, but because he's so greedy and because he has bad intentions, and because he ends up trying to kill his own father Rubinsky, he ends up getting killed by Rubinsky. His own father kills him, and right before he dies, Rubinsky tells him, if you hadn't been if you hadn't had so many bad intentions, I would have just had given you the power. But I did enjoy Rupert's character. He was so he was so smug and clever and manipulating people and all that. So it was sad to see him go, but he did it to himself. Besides that, there's a new war starting, which is called Ragnarok. It's in its early stages. It started off with the Galactic Empire going to Aetherlon to attack the base there. That's the Thor's hammer, and they try to bait the Free Planet Alliance, but the Free Planet Alliance ends up baiting them. And there's a fight between the Rosenritter and one of the fleet commanders. And there's a part where two of these main characters get into a fight, and I was just nervous because they're both good characters, but nobody died. And then Oberstein, of course, being the weird thing about Oberstein is he is the advisor to Reinhardt, but there's points where Oberstein seems like he's using Reinhardt as a tool, because Reinhardt can't really make a lot of decisions for himself sometimes. Reinhardt's pretty smart too, but sometimes it seems like Oberstein's the one using him as a tool, like Oberstein's the one pulling the strings sometimes. But I think that Oberstein means well, because despite what he says, he seems to have good intentions. Just that he's very brutal in the way he tries to settle things sometimes. And I think that pretty much those are the more important things that happened. There's also a really good episode where they go down through the history of how of Rudolph, how the Galactic Empire came to be, how Phazon came to be, and how the Free Planet Alliance came to be. It's a brutal story. Billions of people were killed, executed, assassinated, starved, experimented on. It was very brutal. And then Walter was the one I think that fought the fleet captain. They also elaborate more on Wolfgang and his special eye-colored friend. They had some backstory about their past, which was good to see. I've been enjoying Frederica's character and Hildegard. Frederica actually has a interest in Yang, but Yang doesn't. The thing about Yang is he has a lot of flaws. He's a great soldier, but he's very sloppy. He's borderline alcoholic. He cannot take care of himself properly. I mean, without Julian there, he's kind of helpless. Even he said in a recent episode that he kind of wish Julian was there. I mean, this man is just used to getting babied. He has a 14-year-old boy caretaker that makes sure he wakes up on time and makes him breakfast and all that. In fact, when he first moves into Yang's house, it's basically a pigsty, like mountains of dirty plates, trash everywhere. This man is extremely irresponsible, but he's a very good soldier, at least. And now he's without Julian, so he has to make his own tea, as much as he doesn't want to. And I think that's about it. The next video will be on Ragnarok, which is I think it's the next 10 episodes. That'll be the next focus. And then I already talked about Rubinsky, how he had a plan to take control of the whole universe, but it fell apart. So right now he's kind of hiding because the Galactic Empire ended up invading Phazon and took over the planet. And Rubinsky right now is in hiding. So, but he has a plan. He's hiding something. So he'll be back. He'll be back for a vengeance, you could say. And I was looking at the cast. This anime has such a huge cast, but the characters are all good. I just can't believe how many characters this anime has. And I'm approaching the halfway point. I'm gonna just scroll through the characters, see if it triggers a memory. I think they were saying this show had over 300 voice actors. I think it's a record. Oh yeah, then they stole the kid. I think that's all I have. That's enough of that. I'm gonna continue watching it. The next video will probably be like in 2 or 3 days. So thank you for watching.